Coming up next on this edition of In the City, Murfreesboro is gaining some impressive awards across multiple departments. Plus, we'll bring you an update in regards to the city's 2035 plan. And the Transportation Department is teaming up with TDOT to bring the city more improved roadways. But first, year-end statistics prove that the hard work of one city department continues to improve Murfreesboro's safety. All this and more coming up right now on this edition of In the City. Welcome to another edition of In the City, your source for what's happening right here in the city of Murfreesboro. I'm Callie Durham. Crime statistics for the 2014 year are in. Murfreesboro Police Department's Public Information Officer, Kyle Evans, tells us more.
For the third consecutive year, the city of Murfreesboro has seen a reduction in Part 1 crimes reported to law enforcement. Now, this is significant because 3 years in a row, as our cities continue to grow, we've seen actual reductions, physical reductions in the numbers of both violent crime and property crime reported to the police. This year, we saw a 4% decrease of overall crimes reported. With every single category, including violent crime and property crime, being reduced, except for our homicide rate, which increased from 3 incidents to a total of 7 incidents with 9 fatalities. One of which was a murder-suicide, in which the suspect killed himself after killing his wife. In another incident, it was a self-defense justifiable homicide, which was returned by a grand jury as self-defense. Out of the cases that we've been able to solve and prosecute, those offenders are currently in jail right now awaiting trial. The second area where we see deaths are in roadway fatalities. We had 9 in 2013, we went to 8 with 9 deaths in 2014. So in order to combat that, we have an aggressive driving unit that was formed. This aggressive driving unit, they drive unmarked police vehicles. They are out looking for road rage, following too close, speed. This group of officers wrote almost half of the tickets for the entire department last year. They are very proactive in trying to adjust driving behavior by observing law violations and then enforcing those. One of our officers, Officer Pam Gosley, received the Governor's Highway Safety Office Middle Tennessee Region Officer of the Year Award for her efforts in trying to reduce aggressive and dangerous driving. All of our impact officers received awards from Mothers Against Drunk Driving for their efforts to make Murfreesboro streets safer by ridding our streets of drunk drivers. In addition to looking for traffic violations, our department has partnered with the Governor's Highway Safety Office to make click it or ticket seatbelt usage a priority. And for the second consecutive year, we've won the Governor's Highway Safety Office Seatbelt Enforcement Award. Part of our overall comprehensive traffic plan are ideas on how to reduce the number of traffic crashes, especially injury accidents and fatalities in Murfreesboro, includes the red light camera system, in addition to all the other things that we mentioned. And why the red light camera system is important is because it does address a certain type of driving behavior that results in very dangerous T-bone side angle type crashes. Now, we've seen significant reductions in those crashes since the implementation of this program. Last year, the officer in charge of that program issued over 18,000 civil violations for people who ran a red light, meaning they were behind the stop bar when the light turned red and then entered the intersection, risking the lives of everyone that travels that particular intersection. And what's interesting about this program is not just the intersections where we have the targeted enforcement do we see driver change, but we've seen this adjustment in driver behavior and a reduction in crashes at all intersections citywide. That changes driver behavior, and we've proven that it's made Murfreesboro roadway safer, and we're going to continue the program with the support of the council again throughout 2015. Well, again this year we saw an increase in the demand for police services. Officers responded to over 108,000 calls for service, and if you do the math, that equates to almost 300 calls for service a day. We've seen that number continue to increase year after year, so From our dispatchers that take the initial phone calls to the officers that show up at your house to take a report. Our officers are dedicated to completing that mission. They're dedicated to making Murfreesboro safe, but we can't do that by ourselves. We have to have the community's help. We have to have the community's involvement. So this 4% decrease isn't just a result of our hard work, but also the community as a whole. Well, since the 1990s, the Murfreesboro Police Department has engaged in community-oriented policing. We engage our neighborhoods, we speak with our residents, we have bicycle patrol, foot patrol, all the things that are traditionally community-oriented. We have officers that work the inner city area that have a fantastic relationship with members of the community, and without their help, it would be very difficult for us to solve crimes that occur. We will not stop at 3 years of consecutive crime reduction. We want to see 4, but we can't do that without your help. So we want everyone in Murfreesboro to report suspicious activity, engage in your community, engage in your police department, and help us make 2015 the safest year on record.
For more information on the police department's full 2014 crime statistics, you can visit the city's website at murfreesborotn.gov. Once you're there, under the Departments tab, choose Police, and then click on the Media Release tab on the left side of your screen to find out more. Well, one road project that TDOT began work on in 2014 will be taking on a more noticeable difference in the coming year. One of the busiest intersections in the state of Tennessee is right here in Murfreesboro. The intersection I'm referring to is right behind me. As you can see, this is Broad Street, which intersects with Old Fort Parkway, which turns into Memorial Boulevard. The Tennessee Department of Transportation has decided that the best way to try to alleviate some of this traffic congestion is to create an interchange, or as the project is commonly known, a bridge over Broad Street. Now you may be wondering, what exactly is an interchange? Well, an interchange is a road junction that typically uses grade separation or height separation to allow traffic on a roadway to pass through a junction without directly crossing any other traffic stream. The new interchange will help to relieve some of the congestion at this intersection. The average daily traffic on Old Fort Parkway and Memorial Boulevard is over 27,000 vehicles, and the average daily traffic on Broad Street sees just over 31,000 vehicles. This means that nearly 60,000 vehicles pass through this intersection every day. And by the year 2034, it is projected that over 72,000 vehicles will travel through this intersection each day. Construction is estimated to be completed in May of 2016. Now, while efforts have already been well underway for nearly a year, up until now, they've mostly been below the surface, including working on relocating electric and water lines, as well as mapping out drainage systems and laying the foundation for what's to come. A few things to keep in mind. Portions of Broadmoor Boulevard, which connects Memorial to Broad, will be closed until this summer. Traffic on Broad Street will remain reduced from 7 to 5 lanes on the stretch between West Main Street and Ridgely Road. Crews will continue utility relocation work using both day and night crews. A traffic pattern modification is also expected to change later this year. More information will be provided prior to that traffic shift. The current traffic pattern on Broad and Memorial will remain in effect until late spring. As always, motorists are urged to use caution, reduce speed, and be alert to changing road conditions in the construction zone. In conjunction with the Bridge Over Broad project, the city is also proposing to reconfigure Lytle Street and add a roundabout that will improve the flow of traffic. The project is estimated to cost $2.8 million, but must still be approved by City Council as part of the new Capital Improvement Program budget later this year. New updates to the highly anticipated comprehensive plan for the city of Murfreesboro are being presented to the public.
We are just completing the first draft of Chapter 2.
Presenting the second chapter draft of Murfreesboro's comprehensive plan to the community, planners focused on the city's growth capacity, physical constraints, and regulatory inhibitors to growth, everything from available land to environmental constraints, such as floodplains and sinkholes that hinder land usage.
What we're tackling in this chapter is understanding those physical constraints for sort of supply and demand in terms of land area and services.
Evaluating the city's capacity for growth is based upon population projections that Murfreesboro will grow by more than 100,000 people by 2035. Growth capacity begins with a closer look at available land, what's utilized and non-utilized.
From this map, it's fairly easy to see that a lot of the land within the city limits is currently utilized.
The map developed by Kindig Keast Collaborative shows what land is available for the increasing population.
The land within the city limits, there's a little over 9,400 acres that we are suggesting is underutilized. It's currently available for some level of development.
When land outside the city limits is included in the analysis, available acreage increases another 9,600 acres to a total 19,000 acres.
With which to accommodate additional development over the next 20 years.
Residential and non-residential development are only part of the needed acreage equation. Based on projected population growth, the city will need at least 500 acres for additional parks and 225 acres for 9 new city schools.
All of that demand is a little over 12,000 acres. Again, we only have about 9,000 and some change acres remaining to accommodate that land.
That projected growth will require 3 new fire stations within the city limits and another 175 police officers. Beyond the city limits, 51,000 people will live in the so-called urban growth boundary, requiring 4,700 acres of residential land, 1,400 non-residential acres, and 880 acres for schools. The county will require 4 additional elementary schools, 9 new middle schools, and 6 new high schools. Under projections, the urban growth boundary would still have 1,800 acres of available land. Consultants suggest one option to fit the projected population into available land would be to shrink the size of residential parcels in half.
If it's based on a quarter-acre lot, if everybody lived on an eighth of an acre lot, then you're cutting that area requirement in half.
The challenge of accommodating growth is further complicated by a number of environmental constraints that restrict land use. This colorful map includes obstacles to development ranging from floodplains and floodways to sinkholes and drainage issues.
This is sort of an overlay of kind of all of these constraints and hazards laid on top of each other.
Consultants suggest the city may need to develop a sinkhole policy similar to one adopted by the county.
There is developed land that may have a sinkhole associated with it. So development can occur in some of these locations, but there are hazards associated with that.
Some streams have reached their maximum pollutant load, restricting development near these waterways. The non-supporting streams require different drainage approaches that are important to water quality, not to mention public health and safety.
These are areas with drainage issues. And again, probably 80 to 90% of these drainage issues are related to a very complex karst system in conjunction with a surface water drainage system that is just not adequate.
Consultants are recommending that the city adopt the FEMA flood proofing guidance to help homeowners already in the 100-year floodplain.
50% of the drainage in the urban growth boundary goes to sinkholes. And that is not only an issue from the flooding perspective, but it's also an issue from groundwater contamination.
Consultants are recommending a number of strategies to address the environmental concerns, from updated geological maps to improved site designs and buffers to sinkholes. Water demand will also increase, but according to projections, stay under production capability of the water plants now in operation. However, there is a caveat.
One of the issues that comes out of that is allocation from the Corps of Engineers. Both Murfreesboro, CUD, and Smyrna are all pulling from the Percy Priest Reservoir.
The Corps is currently going through an allocation study that could potentially impact water allocation to Murfreesboro and Rutherford County. The comprehensive plan is also studying water flow capability for fire protection as the city grows outward. Strategies for maintaining adequate water supply include greater cooperation between the city, CUD, and Smyrna, reducing the loss of water through leaks and identifying alternative sources of water. On the issue of wastewater, The city, or CUD, might entertain the idea of moving toward an alternative decentralization technology, where smaller facilities in residential neighborhoods divert the wastewater for irrigation and industrial use.
So essentially the way that these work is that every house within one of these developments would have its own septic tank, and then the effluent from that septic tank is pumped to a centralized treatment system. Primarily they are recirculating sand filters.
The water would then be discharged into dedicated land applications, such as golf courses and playing fields, something happening now with the city's repurified water system seen in purple on this map.
And so a great deal of the planning moving forward from this point is going to look at how do we best manage this resource and treat it appropriately for the use, the best available use for that water.
Even so, consultants project that Murfreesboro's Sinking Creek treatment plant could require expansion by 2030. And the Midpoint landfill is also reaching capacity for solid waste, another possible inhibitor to growth.
We may be able to divert a certain amount of waste through potentially recycling, composting of yard waste, and kitchen-related waste.
All this planning may be further hampered by Tennessee's annexation law, a complex legal issue to be addressed in future chapters. These and other constraints will challenge Murfreesboro's growth, but with proper planning and wise choices, they can be addressed to allow for continued growth and development. Mike Browning, CityTV.
Murfreesboro is growing at full speed ahead, and that means more development is coming this way.
Murfreesboro's continued growth can be seen not only in the amount of jobs and businesses that are coming to the city, but also in the tremendous amount of housing and housing developments that are evident throughout the city. Statistics show that Murfreesboro single-family permits rose in 2014, which is a testament to the continued regional recovery in the housing market. And this is one trend that is set to continue in 2015, according to city officials like the city's Building and Codes Director and Interim Planning Director, Gary Whitaker.
We look for next year to be another good year, and what we've experienced are the increase in number of site plans, rezoning requests, and also annexation requests that we've had for development property. In fact, we've got the lowest lot numbers for single-family residential homes in history since I've been here, which is 20 some odd years. We are experiencing all-time low in the available number of lots. Therefore, we definitely will see an increase in requests for the number of residential lots, as well as multifamily and apartments coming in.
A tight supply of available lots and new homes contributes to the boost in residential development in Murfreesboro. Lots available for construction have dipped from 1,254 in 2012 to 984 in 2013. And the amount of available lots in 2014 was only around 826. That's far lower than the peak of nearly 1,800 available lots in 2006.
Looking over the last 3 years, we've had constant growth, which is good, coming out of 3 years prior to that of a downturn, a large downturn in the market.
The Murfreesboro Building and Codes Department's final figures show that permits for single-family detached units increased substantially from 2012, when only a total of 451 units were permitted. This rose to 589 units in 2013 and continued to rise to 647 units in 2014.
Basically, jobs, as we bring in industry, as they move into our city, that creates the need for more housing, which creates the need for more commercial development. And that cycle that we've been experiencing, actually a good healthy cycle for the last 20 years. And it benefits us all. Our economics throughout the city, our tax base, so it's a growth that we've gotten accustomed to over the last 20 years.
An increase in multifamily unit permits reflect a growing trend in satisfying the demand of the younger millennial generation that are choosing to rent rather than buy. Multifamily units permitted nearly doubled from 464 units in 2012 to 889 units in 2013, and that continued to climb to 913 last year.
What we hope is continued steady growth. Over the last 20 years, we've experienced some pinnacles and ups and downs, but what we'd like to see is a good, constant, steady growth.
Commercial development in Murfreesboro reflects the higher growth in small business development in recent years, as both commercial permits and site plans have also been trending higher. This just goes to show that more and more people are seeing just how wonderful Murfreesboro already is and how great it can grow to be.
Luckily, I've got to grow up here and also be a part of the 20-plus years of development and have a ringside seat, if you will. It's almost, in my opinion, the perfect job because I've not only got to see the city grow, but I've got to be a part of it and have been blessed to be a part of this wonderful city that we live in and that we all call home.
Murfreesboro's wastewater treatment plant is being recognized for its accomplishments in raising water to a higher standard.
This year, for the first time ever, the Sinking Creek Wastewater Treatment Plant won the Plant of the Year Award, as it's kind of known as, for 2014.
The Sinking Creek Wastewater Treatment Plant receives all of the City of Murfreesboro's wastewater, which is basically the water that leaves your house via the sink, the tub, and the toilet. The state and federal governments are always adding new standards that the plant has to meet, as John explains.
The state, a few years ago, changed the goal line, and so we had to meet a whole new set of standards. We had a new phosphorus rule. This plant is not designed to treat phosphorus at all. So you're taking a plant that's been in operation one way for 13 years. You got a new standard. And then you're being asked to do something totally different, especially when the plant wasn't even designed to do some of those things. And we were trying to face certain deadlines. The state wanted us to meet certain benchmarks by certain deadlines. If the plant were knocked out of balance or upset, there wouldn't be time to recover. It was a pretty tough situation because it was almost a one shot. It was literally one shot. We had a certain period of time to accomplish certain numbers, and it really is amazing that we did it. We came up with a plan, we executed the plan, but what it really involved in was staff dedication. The staff really had to be dedicated because we asked them to do something that they had never done before. We asked them to use the same plant to accomplish a goal that had never been done. This required continuous monitoring. We're talking about hour by hour, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for months and months on end. I can tell you, because I was right there with the staff, that it was tiring. There was some fatigue. It was tough. But at the end of it, it was success. And so I'm very proud of the staff. They put in all of the extra effort, all of the extra monitoring, all of the extra time that it took to really make this thing happen, because the system is slow moving, but if it becomes upset, it can be knocked off balance. It was a team effort. There's no way this could have been done without everyone's involvement. And we're talking about down to the last man. Sometimes people feel unappreciated. You're one guy, you're working third shift on the weekends. But in this scenario, because every hour counted, every team member counted. So everyone was able to bring value to the table, and it was an amazing group effort. The staff really came together and pulled this off. So you're talking about a super accomplishment. You're reaching numbers that the plant wasn't designed to do. You're enabling us to get a permit that was necessary. The plant cannot function without a permit. And then, we were recognized by that. The Tennessee Water and Wastewater Association recognized what happened, and they gave us the Plant of the Year Award. So it was kind of gratifying in that sense.
One Murfreesboro City School is being hailed as the best in state for its high academic success.
One website is proclaiming some Murfreesboro schools as the best in state. The City School System's Discovery School has recently ranked #1 in the category of Tennessee's best elementary school, on the website schooldigger.com. According to the website, the list of over 800 schools was released January 1st, with rankings being determined based on statewide assessments. Schools' averaged math and English scores were added together to make a combined score for each of Tennessee's elementary schools, with only 3rd and 4th grades assessments being considered to gain their overall scores. This placed Discovery School in the lead. But the good news doesn't stop there. 7 of Murfreesboro's city schools were ranked in the top 50% of the state. This is a testament to the hard work and dedication of the city's wonderful teachers, staff, and students. The full list of rankings, including middle and high schools, is available at schooldigger.com.
Overall Creek Elementary is bringing the outdoors inside the classroom to help enhance one special project.
Overall Creek Elementary is bringing education to life with their accurate depiction of an underground habitat and ecosystem created by the school's 3rd grade classes.
The awesome thing is that we get to share it with the entire school. We have had a sign-up list, and the teachers have signed up and given up part of their school day to come and bring their kids with us to tour. So it's not just 3rd grade and just us. It's everybody in the school, and the talk throughout the school. You can just feel the excitement in the building.
Through the hard work and dedication of not only the teachers and students, but also parents of Overall Creek, 2 classrooms are successfully turned into a life-size and realistic outdoor environment as the finale to a month-long student-led research project on the ecosystem of Tennessee's deciduous forest. It all started 4 years ago at Scales Elementary when teachers noticed that students weren't fully engaged in the projects that they were sending home.
Cherry Ross and myself taught 2nd grade together, and we wanted to do something outside of the box. We've seen students who were given projects and they had to go take them at home, and then oftentimes parents end up helping or even doing the project. And so we wanted to make a way where students would be empowered and feel proud of their work, and to know that I accomplished this on my own and I didn't have any other help.
So they decided to launch this special project that incorporates a more hands-on, student-driven approach with a connection to real-life examples and experiences. After students completed their projects, the teachers felt that a good reward for their hard work would be bringing the students' research to life.
One thing we always try to do as teachers is make connections with what we're learning. The how and the why is very important, and if our kids know why we're learning it and they can connect it to their everyday life, then a lot of times they can remember it better.
Along with writing their research papers, the students create a visual explanation of their findings on poster board and give a presentation to classes touring the environment.
I really feel that they become more confident after we do these projects. They stand up taller, they're proud of themselves. They have literally taught the whole entire school about their project for 2 days. So they feel more empowered in their learning and are confident, and I think those are the 2 big reasons why we love to do this project.
Each tour of the habitat is altered to meet the touring grade level's teaching standards and to hold the students' interest.
It is well worth it. I had a student today who's not even my student. He was in 5th grade, and he looked at me and he said, "Wow, this is amazing. I've never seen anything like this before." And he looked at me and he sincerely said, thank you for doing this. And we were in the first room. We were in the underground with just rocks and worms. So it just kind of touched my heart because they're grateful when we do out-of-the-box fun things. Not only are our 3rd graders excited, but here's a 5th grader who's enjoying what we did too.
Well, that's it for this edition of In the City. For more information about the City of Murfreesboro, just visit our website at murfreesborotn.gov. And if you want to watch one of the stories that you've seen today or catch up on some of the latest city news, you can always visit the City of Murfreesboro's YouTube channel. I'm Callie Durham. Until next time, we look forward to seeing you in the city.